Hello, and welcome to the Reproductive Health Program Eligibility Database Training for C-Care-Only Clinics. My name is Allison Babich, and I'm the Reproductive Health Provider Liaison. This video is meant to help clinic staff navigate the RH Program Eligibility Database. I'll start by describing what the Eligibility Database is. Then I'll describe how to get access, how to find a client, the services messages you see for each client, how to add a client, which includes their enrollment information, their citizenship information if applicable, and their demographics information. And then I'll describe the various messages you'll see in the database related to clients' enrollment status. Before we get started, I want to point out that throughout these slides, you'll see orange links. Unfortunately, they aren't clickable in the video, but they are in the slides themselves. And you can find the slides on our trainings page, healthoregon.org/RH trainings. Okay, let's get started. So what is the eligibility database? It is a centralized web-based system that holds the eligibility information for every client enrolled in RH program coverage. This allows clients to enroll in coverage once and then be able to get services at any RH program clinic throughout the state. For example, if a client enrolls in Burns and then moves to Eugene in that same year, they do not need to complete a whole new enrollment form to get their services covered. The eligibility database is also the final step to enrolling a client. A client is not fully enrolled until their information has been entered and saved in the eligibility database. To get access to the eligibility database, staff must complete the appropriate Ehlers user ID and password request form. There are two versions of the form. One for agencies with fewer than 10 clinics operating C-Care or the RH program, and one for agencies with 10 or more clinics operating C-Care or the RH program. Each of the forms can be found on our client enrollment webpage in the eligibility database section. After completing the form, the user should click the Submit button, and then Ehlers will contact the person with their password. It is important that each user have their own user ID and password for troubleshooting and confidentiality purposes. After the staff person receives their user ID and password, they will go to this website and type in their information and then click Login or press Enter. The first screen that appears after logging in is the Announcements page. We update these as needed, so be sure to take a look every time you log in just in case there is something new. When a client comes to your clinic for reproductive health services, the first thing you should do after finding out that they don't have OHP is look them up in the eligibility database. Similar to ensuring that clients don't already have OHP before asking them to complete an OHP application, you want to make sure a client isn't already enrolled in RH program coverage before asking them to complete an RH program enrollment form. This ensures clients don't have duplicate records in the database, which can cause billing problems. To search for a client, hover your mouse over the Clients tab in the top left of the window and click Search for a Client in the drop-down list that appears. This screen will then appear, where you should enter the client's information in one or more of the fields and then click Find a Client. The database will then show the first 100 matches if there are any. It can take more than one try to find the client you're looking for, so here are some tips. Search using different combinations of information like first name and date of birth, social security number, last name and first name, or just the last name. The name fields even let you enter only partial information, like the first 3 letters of their last name or first name. If the database was unable to find a client based on the information you provided, a screen like this will appear with this statement. At this point, you can search again using different information or add the client, but only if you've tried a few different combinations of information. If the database finds more than one client who meets the search criteria you used, a screen like this will appear with multiple clients' information. If this happens, you can scroll the list looking for your client, and when you find them, click the Client Info link on the far left of the row, or you can search again using different information in hopes of narrowing down the list. And if the database was able to find your client, a screen like this will appear, with the client's information in the data fields. There will also be a message that indicates the client's current enrollment status. If the client's record needs to be updated or reviewed in detail, click the Client Info button at the top. When you go to the client's client information screen, you will see a gray box at the top. This shows the client's current eligibility status and their eligibility history. If a client is currently enrolled, they will have one of two service eligibility messages at the bottom of the gray box. These messages indicate what services the RH program will cover. If you see the green message, it means that the RH program will only reimburse for services related to preventing or achieving pregnancy. If you see the blue message, it means that the RH program will reimburse for reproductive health services. I will explain what these messages mean on the next two slides, but you can also find more detailed information in Section 3 of the program manual. If you see the message in green that reads, "The RH program will cover services related to preventing or achieving pregnancy," i.e. family planning for this client, it means we will reimburse for visits that either have a family planning component or are a follow-up from a visit with a family planning component. This is especially important for staff at CCare-only clinics because you may only bill for clients with this message. If you see the message in blue that reads, "The RH program will cover reproductive health services, including abortion and services not related to family planning for this client," it means that we will reimburse for visits that have a family planning component and STI screenings that do not have a family planning component and well woman visits that do not have a family planning component. The reason we are able to reimburse for STI screening and well woman visits that don't have a family planning component for some clients but not others is because of the rules associated with our funding. But please remember that CCare-only clinics cannot bill for clients with this message. Claims coming from CCare-only clinics for clients with this message will be denied. Okay. Let's go back to the scenario where you are looking for a client to ensure that they are not already enrolled in the RH program. If, after using multiple ways to search for a client, you determine that they are not enrolled, the client will need to complete a RH program enrollment form, and then you'll need to enter the information from their enrollment form into the eligibility database, which means you'll need to add a client. To do so, hover your mouse over Clients in the top left corner, and when the drop-down menu appears, click Add a New Client. You will then be taken to this screen where you will see three tabs: Enrollment Information, Citizenship or Immigration Information, and Demographics Information. The Enrollment Form tab is where you enter information from the first two pages of the client's enrollment form. The order of the data on this screen matches the order of the data on the enrollment form, so it should be a fairly easy data entry process. However, I do want to provide a bit more information about the street address field, the citizenship and immigration status field, the SSN field, and the OHP field. Each of these fields have options that, if checked, will disqualify a CCare-only clinic from being reimbursed. The address field is the first of these. C-Care-only clinics cannot be reimbursed for services provided to clients who live outside of Oregon. So the client lives out of state is only relevant to RH program clinics. Next is the citizenship or immigration status field. C-Care-only clinics can only be reimbursed for services provided to clients who either have U.S. citizenship or what we call eligible immigration status. So if a client has another immigration status, you should refer them to a full RH program clinic. Third is the Social Security number field. The first note about this field is that the option Client does not have SSN is only available to clients who mark another immigration status on the enrollment form. So C-Care-only clinics cannot bill for clients who have that option checked. The second note is that if a client marked eligible immigration status on the enrollment form and does not want to provide an SSN, you can mark Client does not know their SSN. And finally, if a client marked U.S. citizen on the enrollment form, they must either provide their SSN if they remember it, and if they don't remember it at the time of enrollment, they will get 90 days of service while we search for it. So, a quick recap. C-Care-only clinics cannot bill for services provided to clients who do not have an SSN. If a client marked eligible immigration status, they are not required to provide an SSN, so you can mark Client does not know their SSN, or if they provided it, you can enter it. And if a client marked U.S. citizen on the enrollment form, you can either enter what they provided or mark Client does not know their SSN, and we will search for it. Finally, C-Care-only clinics can only bill for clients who do not have OHP or COWM Plus. So the yes, but just for emergencies or pregnancy field is just for RH program clinics. Let's move on to the Citizenship Immigration Information tab. This is only for clients who marked U.S. citizen or national status, and it's where you record how a client's citizenship and identity is being or will be verified. Please note that we are no longer collecting documentation or verifying the status of clients who marked eligible immigration status, so you can disregard that sub-tab. Every quarter, we attempt to electronically verify the income of clients who marked U.S. citizen by using their name, date of birth, and Social Security number. And every month, we use the same information to verify their citizenship. This process is 92% successful, so clients rarely need to bring proof of citizenship. For more information about this process, see our verification FAQs on our client enrollment webpage. With this in mind, let's go over the Proof of U.S. Citizenship National Status subtab. You'll remember from the enrollment form training that there are 3 ways a client's citizenship or national status can be verified. A client can bring in their birth certificate, or they can bring in another form of proof like a passport, or we can electronically verify the client's citizenship or national status, which is the most common. If a client brings in their birth certificate, check the box, and then you'll need to enter the state where the birth certificate is from and the certificate's state file number. Each U.S. birth certificate has either a state file number or a birth certificate number. The birth certificate number is usually 13 digits long and is located somewhere on the certificate. Since each state issues their own birth certificate, the location of the state file or birth certificate number varies from state to state. And remember not to make a copy or scan of the birth certificate for the client's chart. It is actually illegal to do so. So why is it illegal to make a copy of a birth certificate but not other citizenship documents? Because birth certificates are just a piece of paper, and are therefore easy to use to commit fraud. Other documents, on the other hand, are multiple pieces of paper or cards and are therefore much harder to use for fraudulent purposes. So remember not to make copies of birth certificates. Other documents that prove a client's U.S. citizenship or national status include passports, certificates of U.S. citizenship, etc. We have a resource that lists various documents that meet the requirements for proof of citizenship and identity that you can find on our client enrollment webpage. If a client brings in one of these documents, click the box, make a copy or scan of the document, and enter the Ehlers Clinic number where the copy or scan is kept.
And then there's the Client Needs Verification by State box. This option should be used the most frequently. Then, if we've been able to verify a client's citizenship or national status, we will check either the State Verified through SSA Match box or the State Verified through Oregon Vital Records box. Note that these two boxes can only be used by state staff.
Unfortunately, we aren't always able to verify a client's citizenship. When this happens, the state verified boxes will remain unchecked, and you will see their information in the monthly Oregon RH eligibility status update, which I will explain later. And then the client will have to verify their citizenship by providing documentation. Next is the Eligible Immigration Status subtab, and as you can see, this tab has been deactivated because clients who mark eligible immigration status on the enrollment form do not need to provide proof of their immigration status. So basically, you should just ignore this subtab. The Proof of Identity subtab is where you record that the client provided proof of identity. All clients who claim U.S. citizenship must submit a proof of ID. You'll just need to make a copy and then indicate the clinic number where it is kept. Documents that meet the requirements for proving identity are listed in the tool I mentioned before. And remember, clients who mark eligible immigration status do not need to provide proof of identity.
The last subtab in this section of the eligibility database is the Oregon Birth Record Request tab. This is where you can request a birth record match for a client. This is mainly used for clients born in Oregon who don't know their Social Security number. I want to point out that completing the request does not equate to providing proof of citizenship, nor does it guarantee state staff will be able to find a match, but it is a good tool.
To complete the request, provide as much information as possible, though the most important fields are the client's birthplace and the client's name at birth. Be sure to spell everything correctly and to not abbreviate. This information is electronically matched with the Oregon Vital Records database, so misspellings and abbreviations will result in a non-match. The last tab you must complete to fully enroll a client is the Demographics Information tab. This information comes straight from the client's enrollment form, and the only rule is that every question must be answered. If a client left any question blank, just choose the Decline or Don't Want to Answer option. After you've entered all the client's information, just click Save Client Info at the bottom of the screen. The database will then check the data for missing information and create a RH program number for the client. Now, I'd like to move on to times when you find a client in the eligibility database, but see a message that indicates that something is up with their eligibility, their enrollment, or that their record is missing information. There will be times when you look up a client and see that their enrollment has been suspended. This only happens when we find that a client's income is over 250% of the federal poverty level. When you see this message, you should contact the client to verify that the income they put on the enrollment form was correct at the time of their enrollment. The records we use to verify income are only updated quarterly, so we know that there is a high likelihood that the client's income was under 250% when they enrolled, and the income records are reporting on employment they had before or after enrollment. If the client verifies this, just contact us and we will reinstate the client's enrollment. And then there are times when clients' enrollments have been terminated. This could happen for two reasons. Because clinic staff were unable to verify the client's income, in which case you'll see this message, or because the client was found to have OHP, in which case you'll see this message. If a client's enrollment was terminated because of income, they may re-enroll, but they'll have to complete and submit a new enrollment form. But if a client's enrollment was terminated because they are found to have OHP, they cannot re-enroll unless they no longer have OHP. It is important to note that claims submitted for clients whose enrollment have been suspended or terminated will be denied if the dates of service on the claim are after the suspension or termination date. There are other messages you may see on clients' information screens. Many of them indicate that C-Care-only clinics can no longer bill for the client because we're missing information we need to verify citizenship. For example, when a client is a U.S. citizen and we were unable to verify or find their Social Security number, you'll see this message. Or when a client's citizenship has been verified, but the Social Security number they provided came back invalid, you'll see this message. When you see these types of messages, there are actions you should take, such as contacting the client for their Social Security number. Otherwise, you will not be able to bill for this client. Finally, when you are ready to exit the eligibility database, just click Exit System at the top of the screen. To help reduce the number of terminations, we send out a monthly Oregon RH eligibility status update. This is an Excel workbook with several tabs that list clients who enrolled in the previous month for whom we were not able to verify some aspect of their eligibility. All the tabs list clients' enrollment dates, agency and clinic number where they were enrolled, and their RH program number. The first tab lists clients who claimed U.S. citizenship or national status, but for whom we were not able to verify their citizenship. This tab also includes an explanation of why their citizenship match failed. The next few tabs list clients who did not know their Social Security number and for whom we were able to find it, clients for whom we were able to correct their Social Security number, and clients whose Social Security number we were not able to verify. The next tab lists clients who have duplicate records in the eligibility database and which record you should use moving forward. Then, once a quarter, there is an additional tab that lists the clients that were found to be over the RH program income limit. Our eligibility status update guide provides more detail about the workbook and explains what you should do each month. It is important to follow up with clients depending on why they were listed. Otherwise, the client's enrollment may be terminated. The last thing I want to say is to remember not to collect immigration or identity documentation from clients who mark eligible immigration status on their enrollment form. And that concludes our training. For more information and to access the tools and resources I mentioned in this training, go to our client enrollment webpage, which is healthoregon.org/RH client enrollment. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Have a great day.